Good evening, one and all. Since morning, we have been hearing about NHRDN and all the achievements to their name. I'm sure you all are excited to know more about us. So let us invite Mr. Anand Khote, HR Head and GM IBM and President of NHRDN Pune chapter, Ms. Pallavi Pednekar, HR Director at a Big Four and an NHRDN Life member, and Ms. Monica Nehe, Business Partner Human Resources, Tata Consultancy Services, and a member of Young Leaders Forum NHRD Pune chapter to shed some light on the topic and guide our future leaders. Over to you, team.
Thank you, Monica, and good evening, everyone. As you all are aware, that NHRDN is a front runner for grooming leaders and also for grooming young budding professionals, enhancing capability of HR professionals across, nationally and internationally is a forte of NHRD. This is a great ground for us to network. But apart from that, we've seen that this also helps us with NHRDN has always helped us with understanding various thought leadership, various perspectives through their thought leadership. And one of the most important things that I would like to mention here is about enhancing capabilities. Talking about enhancing capabilities, this conference is definitely one such initiative of insightful and engaging sessions since morning, and I'm sure you all would agree with this. So, Anand, I would like to know, just out of curiosity, that what are certain other knowledge sharing vehicles that we have of NHRD, which all HR young budding professionals as well as experienced professionals can experience?
Sure, Pallavi. Thank you very much. And participants and HR leaders and listeners, Pallavi is the day in charge for the day which you have been experiencing and enjoying since morning. And as you can imagine, that she strongly believes on Ye Dil Mange More. So, as the day one is going on great, and we have a lot of content coming your way for next 3 days. She's already thinking about the next, important learning opportunity for all of us. And thank you for that important currency, right? And we want to keep our currency as relevant as possible. So NHRDN has, I would say, a tiered level learning. We are the organization of more than 30 chapters and expanding, into international horizons like in Singapore, Dubai, and others. So each chapter, gets the opportunity to organize their chapter level knowledge sharing session. So I would say that being at the bottom, where the large scale engagement as well as frequent interaction happens. Then chapters also get opportunity to drive something called a summit, which are national level summits, and there are various topics. One of such summit was very successfully led by our Chennai chapter on total rewards, being attended by many of the participants who could be here as well. And thanks to Chennai for that. Bangalore leads HR showcase. And given the recent pandemic challenges, our Hyderabad team curated something called as Mind Matters National Summit few months back. Very well received. And I'm happy to share with all of you that the Mind Matter playbook, which was created after this particular summit, is downloaded worldwide, and the number of downloads are 1.8 million and still counting. So, if some of you are still interested, I think in the next session I'll make sure that I share that link with you, so you can also download it and use it in your organization. So that's the next level of learning related offerings what we have. But those are not sufficient because most of these summits are a day long or the conferences are a few days long. We need to get our learning, further deeper level. And Monica and Pallavi, you will agree. In fact, you overtake me on that because the shelf life of learning when I started my career used to be 5 6 years, and now you guys have come from the fast food generations, and you made it as short as 12 to 18 months, which makes it very important for all of us to stay on our toes and keep continuously learning and upgrading our skills. And nothing else I would say other than certification would help in that area, because certificates are those bite-sized learnings which give you enough proficiency to do your next role or new role or additional role, but at the same time it doesn't dig the hole in your pocket. It doesn't expect you to go back to college for a couple of years, because maybe your organization won't leave you, your family may not permit, and maybe the so-called sponsorship from dad is already over when we have done our first post graduation as well. So this is something which, bite size, effective, powerful, and if it comes from the organization like NHRDN, then what more you can ask for? So Pallavi, I hope this gives you some good response to what we are doing, and we are keen to do more.
Oh, that's great. I think you've just shared a tip of iceberg with us. There's a lot to explore, and I'm sure quite keen to understand plethora of initiatives on capability building that we have. You mentioned a very interesting point on certification, and recently I happened to meet up with a young professional to whom I asked that which why are you done so many certifications? He said just to flaunt on LinkedIn. So that question came to my mind. And why certifications and why certifications are important? What's your view here?
No, I think flaunting on social media is I would say a subconscious behavior for most of us nowadays. And certificate is a big achievement, so why not? We talk about small little things which are important for all of us on social media. Certification is a much more important thing, and I think the inspiration which we draw from such people who talk about their certification is they are one committed to their own learning, their own skill development, and they're encouraging other people to also follow the path, because at times there could be a new certification which has been launched and we are not aware. And some of our young colleagues who have done that and shared it on LinkedIn, that's a good trigger for us to check it out, and maybe if we get excited we can do it. So newer learning contents are being developed. Another thing we can also understand, or I would like our listeners to consider, is there are a lot of adjacent skills which the functional areas like HR are needing. So in my team, I would like my HR team member to also have, let's say, analytical skills, marketing skills, like the skills on, let's say, uh, which we can borrow from customer experience and create employee experience. Those things are not part of your, let's say, management or HR graduation curriculum. And if people come and share their diverse learning on the platforms like LinkedIn and other, it helps us to discover and identify these new avenues which we can also pick up and implement in our lives and in our organization.
That's
So
that's
everybody who likes to flaunt certificates on LinkedIn, kudos to you. Please keep doing more often than not.
Thank you, Anand, for this insightful sharing. And tell us, what are certain unique offerings by NHRDN? I've heard a lot, but if you could just throw some light on that.
Absolutely. And because you are the day in charge, I need to take your permission if you are okay for me to share one slide. And I promise audience that I'll only talk about that one slide because it's very important and I need help of that to let you know what is that unique proposition which NHRDN has.
Definitely, Anand. Thank you.
So here I go, and I hope the technology continues to help as it has been since morning. But in the meantime, as the screen comes up, okay, let me do that. Fair enough. Can you see my screen?
Not yet, Anand. I think it will appear.
Okay, fair enough. So we don't want to lose time. And what I'll talk about, we have something called as HR Scape, and I'll maybe share a picture of that in our next session in the chat so that everybody can take a look at that. This is the core of HR Scape is the four behavioral competencies, and around that we have built eight functional competencies. For these 12 competencies, there is uh, a certification program which can be for one day, or it can last as long as 1 year as well. And there are four levels of expertise one can have on these 12 key competencies, starting from the beginner level to the expert level. And what I feel proud about is that when this model was created, curated by many of renowned HR professionals from India with deep expertise and the doctorates and stuff like that on competency and behavioral science. We humbly presented this to the global leaders like Dave Ulrich and Wayne Brockbank, who are the top two HR thought leaders worldwide. And we humbly suggested that this is the framework we came up with, and we want to test it out and try it out in India. And to our pride moment, they mentioned that this framework is so insightful and so comprehensive that we should not restrict this for the HR professionals only in India, and we should continue to drive this and take the benefits of Hrscape modules to the world as well. So I think that is the biggest compliment an organization and the body like us get when we develop deep expertise for our practitioners. And I would like to invite Monica, who co-created one of such offering on Credible Champion. So Monica, our young leader, we are keen to hear your views about your experience of creating this.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Anand sir, for giving this opportunity to share my experiences, which went into developing this certification. First of all, I feel really honored and privileged that I got this opportunity to contribute my bit to it, and work with a like Jagdish sir. So that was a very humbling experience for me. So before I actually get into the salient features of the certification, I would want to highlight certain key factors which I feel make the NHRD scape certifications different from the rest of the certifications. So the first thing is, there's a lot of effort that goes in by the leaders who curate these certifications. So when I say effort, it's in some cases it's like 4 5 months before the certification is actually being launched. That dedicated and uninterrupted contribution which these leaders make is humongous. And not only this, the modules which are there in this certification are amalgamation of two things. So the first thing is the rich experience which these leaders carry, with themselves, the real life experiences in their entire HR career that is brought about, and it is embedded in each and every module of the certification. So that is one thing. But more importantly, it is also backed up by a lot of research which goes into it, because while we were working on it, I still remember we used to go through so many research papers and blogs and books on HR, and we in fact spoke to authors who have written those books, and to come up with various HR models and theories. So the background and the foundation to the certification is very strong over there. So this is something very unique. And to add to it, the facilitation again plays a very important role. So of course, the leader who owns the or who designs the certification is the core facilitator. However, there are many co-facilitators and guest facilitators who are renowned HR professionals, CHROs of various companies. So they bring in a very professional and a rich experience in that particular session. So these are few things which I feel were very unique when we were designing the program. Coming down to the main program that I would want to talk about is Credible Champion. So this is one of the behavioral competencies, one of the four out of four behavioral competencies in the HRscape framework. So in Credible Champion, we all know that as HR professionals, credibility is something that is very important to us. So this certification, it did not only give a broader picture about how to build credibility for HR as a function, or what will be the evidence based NHRD. So they evidence based HRD, they didn't just speak about that, they went quite deeper into it, and they spoke about how should one build professional credibility at a personal level, basically. So it was deep dived into that, and that is what made it very unique. They spoke about competence and integrity and accountability at a individual level, That made it very different. To give you an example, we also had various case studies. So, for example, we had the Aditya Birla case study. So, to facilitate that discussion, we had the stalwart himself, so Mr. Ashok Ramachandran, the group executive vice president for Aditya Birla Group. So he himself was there while taking the session. Similarly, for the Taj case study, we had Raj Narayan, the CHRO for Titan Group. So he brought in the Tata flavor. So when you actually hear from the horse's mouth, so I think there is very little scope for anything additional to be done. So that experience was very good. And so finally, to conclude, I would say that this certification, as well as all the other certifications which we have brought out, are all very unique. They are very dynamic because we take into consideration the latest HR trends also while designing the same. The third thing is that it caters to various career streams that an HR professional is in, HR, career stage that the person is in. So it could be foundational, competent, and expert level of the certifications are available. So I think all of this really makes it the need of the hour for our fraternity. Is what I would say. Yeah. Over to you, Anand sir. Yeah.
Wow, Monica, I think you are our brand ambassador when it comes to Hrscape and the credible champion model. And I still remember the time when we invited you to contribute, and you having learned through the process, and now you're becoming expert yourself in that area. I think that speaks for itself.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And and in addition to HRscape, I think various chapters as well as the national body keep coming up with uh, certificates which are contemporary, which are very in things. Things like HR analytics, things like data science for HR, digital HR, design thinking, emotional and mental wellness, and the list keeps going on because we identify the need, like the way all of you, if there are people from L&D, and then come up with a curated content which will best help them. But I think Pallavi and Monica, you have promised that it's not going to be only me answering the questions. So I need to get some opportunity to ask questions to you as well. And maybe in the interest of time, I can put that first question to Pallavi. As a talent management leader, what sort of one or two trends you are noticing and you would recommend people to keep in mind from learning perspective? Hot seat to you,
Thanks.
Pallavi.
Thanks, Anand. I think talent management expectations are evolving, especially post pandemic. It's, I would say, a lot of responsibility has been put, and it's the burden is kind of increased further, but in a good way. And The skills are which are essential for talent managers are, one, the core being the trusted business advisor. Although this is a very this line is used so many times and again, but until and unless you actually start performing, the start building that trust and being there as an advisor, when people, your business can come to you and ask you for advice at right time, and see that the advice has also helped them, so that there are repeat customers for that. That is the whole crux of it. Then whatever is the situation, it's only about evolving and working together to go further. So at the core, I would say that trusted business advisor would always remain. And then there would be those different layers of it, which could be embracing the gig world, the gig economy, and how do you create that culture of having I come from an era where I had seen labor unions and Mathari, and then today we are talking about gig, which is the other end of the spectrum, and still embracing the whole thing and getting them as a part of culture. On how HR professionals can be even technologically better competent, will also that is something which is essential. Analytics is always the name of the game, that you name it, and I think leaders will only listen to you when you come up with insights than just go with the data. And With all of this, resilience has to be always there. I think that's the skill for the future, which is completely essential to sail through this. because we are all evolving. We don't know what future is going to be, although people say it's hybrid, people say it's different things, but still, till the time you reach there, it's still evolving. And I think with these kind of skills, it will help to sail through to the future. I hope I was able to answer your question.
You are telling that everybody is going to be crazy busy. There is no respite for anyone. Keep learning. That is the only way to go. And I think I really appreciate that. Uh,
Sorry, Anand, I would like to say here that enjoy what you do. Then I think work becomes easier. It's no more crazy.
very well said. And I didn't mean the crazy in the crazy way, but yes, being at it all the time. Thank you. I think, and maybe I can make it a last question. And Monica, I'll give you lesser time because you can bite this quickly about the HR business partnering. Are you seeing any typical trends? And if you want to call those out for our audience, that will be very useful.
Yeah, sure, Anand. So it is again in similar lines what Pallavi just spoke. So, pre-pandemic and post that, there's a lot of difference. So initially it was just, we just had to walk up to our leaders and our associates, and even they were there. And along with what they are telling us, we could see them face to face. And, that played a very important role, that human touch and that emotional connect. So now, I think what is the need of the hour is to get into some new competencies which will also cater to how to, really connect with everybody while we are not, physically present with them. And apart from this, the emotional wellness angle is also very important post pandemic. So, like you mentioned, that I'm the advocate for certifications. So, I really don't want to say that, but again, it is coming down to the same thing, that, certifications like, for example, Credible Champion. So, before the designing part itself, the latest trends are taken into consideration. And that is where they play an important role, that, basically they are the go to certifications and trainings for an HRBP as well. So because, like, maybe other training programs which are, say, generic for an HRBP, it is like taking the horse to the pond, but to make that horse drink water is something, only it will happen if you're staying relevant. And I think that relevance is what, an HRD really works upon.
Why do we call you young HR leader? You're already so evolved. It's we can continue listening to you for hours together, but in the interest of time and Pallavi being our day owner, we
Yeah.
must finish our session on time. So thank you,
Thank
Shloka. If
you.
you want
Thank
to,
you. Thank you, everyone.
thanks, Monica. Thanks,
Yeah.
Pallavi.
Thanks, everyone.
Yes, sir. What a delightful and captivating session this was, Mr. Anand sir, Miss Pallavi ma'am, and Miss Monica ma'am. And it was definitely very crucial to our beautifully beautiful audience which is present today. So thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so
Thanks
much.
to you, Shloka.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Take care.
Shloka. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, audience. Stay tuned for the next session.